Hi, I'm Paola Ranova, and today we're going to talk about 6 human needs and 3 ways to create relationships. So, as human beings, we have 6 basic needs that go from the most, I don't want to say primitive, but it is. It goes from the most basic need to the most sophisticated need. This is actually something that Tony Robbins talks a lot about. And when we understand our human needs, we understand where we're coming from in our relationships. So, the goal today is to understand the 6 human needs and which one is predominating in your specific relationships. It is very much about your state of being, it's very much about your current state of evolution, and it's also how you can create change in your life once you master this knowledge and you expand your consciousness and you can really start changing your life for the better and improving the quality of your relationships as well, right? So, what is the first human need, which we can call the most basic one? It's the need for safety. It's the need for certainty, actually. So we need certainty about life. We need certainty about things. We need to know that this is going to happen this day or that day so that we can plan our lives and feel safe and secure. So, this is a very basic human need that we all have. But as soon as we feel safe in our security, right, in our certainty, some of us will also need the expansion of the opposite of that, which is variety, which is novelty, innovation, surprises, or uncertainty, if you will. So there are some people who are moved by the need of innovation, the need of variety. And for some people, this is more important than certainty. It depends on the personality, it depends on a lot of things, the birth chart, whatever, source of self knowledge you look at. And then there's the need for significance. So I notice people that in some of them, the need for certainty predominates. Other people, the need for variety predominates. But every human being needs significance. And in my experience, I've noticed that this is a constant, very proportional need that is always ever present in people, though it manifests in different ways depending on the person. So, to feel significant, some people need to be seen and they're leaders and they have a following and they need to be out there, they're extroverts, they're social. Other people find their significance with themselves, with their inner dialogue, sometimes judging other people, sometimes thinking they're superior in their silence and refraining from connections. It really depends on the person. It really depends on the level of health, of emotional health as well, because these needs may be balanced or they may be out of proportion, right? They may be a little, you know, chaotic depending on the person. This is just a general blueprint for us to kind of know ourselves better and see where we are and how we can evolve and become better people. The fourth need is the need for love and connection. So this is another one that is ever present, and it's really, it also depends on the personality, but it's really one of the most basic needs that I see where a lot of people hurt and feel vulnerable. And that's one of the things that we're going to touch upon today, which is how the quality of our relationship. So it has a lot to do with the love and connection piece, but it also includes the other needs as well. So we're going to get to that. The fifth need is the need for growth, for personal growth, for expansion, right? To, as it's exactly what we're talking about. How can you evolve? How can you become better? How can you tap into your best potentials? How can you manifest things that are not yet here, but that you really want to happen? So the need for growth is the fifth one. And the sixth one is the need for contribution. to contribute to the world, to give the best to the world, to share your best with humanity, with the community around you, with other people. So, this need for contribution is more divine, actually. Growth, love and connection, growth and contribution, the three last ones, 4, 5, and 6, they are much more related to your spirit. And the first prior ones are more related to your survival, your not just on the physical level, but also on a social level. Significance has a lot to do with how you position yourself in society and how you survive in a social environment and what is your place and your size in a social system, right? So, all that being said, all that introduction to the 6 human needs, you can ask yourself, what is the degree of safety and certainty that is enough for me in order for me to live a fulfilling life? So some people think that they need to buy a house to feel safe, right? Some people think that if they rent, it's okay. And if, whoever owns the house or the apartment or the condo, whatever, if they ask for that specific piece of real estate to, be theirs again, and you have to move to another place because you're renting, some people take it okay, some people don't. So you can see reactions regarding this need for safety or certainty in different people regarding their personalities. But ask yourself, what is your personal level of need in terms of safety and in terms of certainty? When it comes to variety, I see a lot of people who need it, but I tend to see a lot of people who are scared of that, who are scared of uncertainty. They prefer to live predictable lives and not risk too much, as opposed to the people who love variety. They actually think that the people who are more connected to the safety part, to the certainty piece, are boring. They lead oatmeal blah lives, right? So it depends on the judgment as well. We judge each other a lot based on our human needs. A lot of our judgment, a lot of our habitual judgment, and a lot of our judgment mindset has to do with how you judge other people's intensity in each one of these human needs. The need for significance, as I said, I elaborated a little bit more on that. It has, as I said, to do with your personal significance in the world, with being seen. And now we can start talking a little bit about the quality of our relationships and introducing the principles of family constellations, because one of the principles of family constellations is that everybody belongs. And whenever someone feels excluded or is excluded, that person is very wounded on a soul level, on a deep soul level. So the need for significance is very connected to our souls, and it has to do with the principle of belonging in family constellations as well. The need for love and connection is also one of the greatest human needs that defines the quality of your relationships. And the more you have high quality relationships, the more the growth need is nurtured. So you grow more as a person, the more you connect to nurturing people, the more you connect to interesting people, the more you're immersed in groups of people that will encourage you to grow, that will be happy for your growth, right? And not diminishing you or putting you down, competing and all of that. So the need for personal growth. Some people get a high from competition. Part of their growth includes competition, and there's nothing wrong with that. It depends on the personality, who the person is, what the person has gone through. The personality is always a way to react to the social environment you're born in, right? So depending on the stimuli that you've had in childhood, you may be more or less competitive. So growth can have a lot to do with significance, less to do with love and connection, depending on the person. But contribution is a very spiritual human need that is present in every single human being, but it may not be awakened in every human being. So when you choose to, so of the fifth first ones, they are very much about ourselves, even love and connection and significance that depend on other people, right? For significance, you need some people, other people to validate you, to see you, to tell you that you belong. And for love and connection, you need other people to be in a relationship with you, regardless of what kind of relationship it is, right? A family connection, a friendship, a love relationship, a business relationship, whatever. But, and the growth piece is very individual. But when it comes to contribution, that is when you start getting out of your individual self and connecting to higher consciousness. And when you awaken to this need and you nurture this need to contribute to the world, you are evolving in your sacred path. You are evolving as a soul. So this is a powerful thing for us to start thinking about when it comes to how we balance our relationships. And I have nothing against the word balance. It has become a fad to say that balance creates stagnation. I am not buying into that new fad about the new concepts and vocabularies that's going on lately in 2019 and 2020. People are saying this, that balance is a word that creates stagnation. I disagree. Balance is about movement too. Energy must move. Energy must be in movement, and stagnation creates a disconnection from life, right? When we talk about the cardinal method of life connection, which is the method I created to help people heal their souls and expand their consciousness and take action and create the joy of life, it has everything to do with movement. So life connection is about movement. And we talk a lot about divine proportion in the cardinal method as well. So how can you move forward in your life in divine proportion? But you always need to be moving forward. You always need to be moving upwards in your ascension spiral, whatever vocabulary, whatever kind of language you choose to use. But regarding contribution, it is you as an individual who has fulfilled all your personal needs, and you're now overflowing with resources to share with the world and contribute to other people's life quality. This is not about you getting out of yourself. It's about you becoming a bigger person with more resources, with more energy, expanding who you are, touching more lives, and contributing to the world. So when it comes to the quality of your relationships, in family constellations, there is another principle. We talked about the principle of belonging, but there's another soul principle that is called balance in giving and receiving. Balance is a flow of energy. And sometimes this principle is not very well understood. And we can really think of three ways of living this principle, the balance in giving and receiving, right? So I want everybody to now take a deep breath so we can pay attention to what this really means. So balancing giving and receiving means that everyone benefits from the relationship. However, we do see a lot of people going through life in imbalanced relationships because they are takers and givers. And this is not a judgment. This is an observation of how energy is flowing in a specific relationship. So this happens in different levels of consciousness as well. And we can talk a little bit about this now. As a human being, you have the first level of consciousness, which is the level of belonging. It's a collective level. It's what you inherit from your family and your culture, right? So it's things that we share on the deep unconscious level. We are unaware of this, but this creates our habits and it creates a lot of our reality as well. Everything, every content in the deep unconscious mind is possibly active in your life and is possibly creating your experience. There's a second level of consciousness that's individual, that is you as you are. And we talked about the individual level with the 6 human needs, right? Each individual has a need for certainty and safety, has a need for variety and uncertainty, different levels in different people, but it's there, it's present. There is the need for significance in the individual level. There's the need for love and connection, the need for growth, and the need for contribution. This is all an individual level of consciousness. There is the third level, which is the connection level, which is when it's also collective, but it is after you've gone through your individual journey, you can connect to infinite possibilities and infinite beings in the world with a spiritual awareness. And the need for connection in the heart, love and connection, starts to trigger that third level of consciousness. The need for growth as a human being and the need for contribution starts to plug your individual level of consciousness into the connection level, the higher consciousness level, in which we are all one. We have our unique energy, but we are all one with the cosmos, with connections with every single being in existence. So when it comes to our relationships, people who are takers and people who are givers are stuck in the structure level of consciousness and in the individual level of consciousness as well. They are not transcending into spirituality, into higher consciousness, or not merging with their higher selves yet. And there is no such thing as a villain taker and a victim giver. These two people are vibrating in the same level, and it takes two to tangle, right? So the taker is not a villain and the giver is not a victim, because the giver has an unconscious program that needs recognition, the need for significance, right? That needs recognition, that needs to create an image of someone who gives and gives and gives, even if it's an idealized self-image, even if it's an image for self, that allows that person to only engage with takers. But the people who are takers are sucking the life dry out of the givers for a reason. And what is that reason? A belief system that they will only have certainty, that they will only be safe if others provide for them. So these people are living in the certainty level. They can be traveling up to the variety level if they have a lot of givers in their life, right? If they take from a lot of people. But when it comes to a significant relationship, and especially a love relationship or a romantic relationship, in which you can clearly see that one person is a taker and the other is a giver, why is that relationship lasting? Since it's literally a law, you can call it a law of physics, if you will. I think it's appropriate to say it that way, at least if you consider quantum physics and energy and all of that. On an energetic blueprint, the taker believes he or she can only survive if others provide for them. What makes the provider or the giver engage in that kind of relationship? The provider or the giver needs to feel important. There's a need for significance. There's a need for recognition. Even if they don't know it, even if they're not aware of it, even if it's a very deep-seated, unconscious, idealized self-image. And how can you pinpoint that kind of person? That is the person who feels depleted all the time in their relationships, that gives more than they receive. And this is not in an exchange level. We're going to talk about that second type of relationship soon. That person usually doesn't have a very good health or doesn't have enough resources, material resources. Money is always, dealing with money problems, or feeling emotionally or energetically depleted, or even with health issues. That is the typical giver who only engages in relationships with takers because that person does not know healthy boundaries. And the reason that person, both polarities, right, are unaware of healthy boundaries. So if they don't know healthy boundaries, they're going to be engaging in these imbalanced relationships, givers and takers, unaware of healthy boundaries. and they have a secondary gain in the relationship. The taker has the gain of remaining a child, and this victim mode mentality may be very strategic for this person who is lazy about becoming an adult. Even if that person is 70 years old, the behavior of a taker is the behavior of a greedy child. When it comes to the giver is not a victim either, because the victim is unaware of secondary gains. And when it comes to the giver, that is more of a martyr person who gives and gives and gives and doesn't need to receive so much. This person has an idealized self image as well, probably has a depleted life. Either the physical health of the body is depleted, or the economic life of the person, the money life, is not healthy, or the person doesn't have healthy emotional connections, doesn't have healthy friendships, doesn't grow, has a lot of limitations in his or her life. So when it comes to the quality of your relationships, the balance in giving and receiving is not a taker-giver connection. It should not be that way, right? That's what I believe to be true. This is why I wanted to connect these two bodies of knowledge, the 6 human needs and the 3 ways to engage in relationships when it comes to balance in giving and receiving, with a lot of quotation marks here because we don't want to get people confused about giving and taking as balanced. The second way that you can understand a relationship in the balance in giving and receiving is when people are calculating all the time. I'll give you this if you give me this. If you give me this, I'll give you that. If you don't give me that, I won't give you that. So this exchange mentality is very materialistic because it's also based in a consciousness of scarcity. The first relationship I described, takers and givers, they're both taking from each other, right? One is taking resources, the other is taking recognition, and that is creating scarcity. The second mode is also about scarcity because if you need to calculate all the time, you don't trust the abundance of life. You think that the world is scarce and that resources are scarce and that you need to fight for your life all the time. So you're always calculating to the last little bit, to the last little dime. You will contribute as long as someone else does it too, in the level that you believe is right and in the level that you value. So you're always calculating other people's movements, other people's resources, and what other people offer with your own standards, with your own subjective standards. And that creates a lot of stress. And that creates a lot of mistrust as well. So balancing giving and receiving is not happening on a life connection perspective. It's happening on a materialistic, scarcity, rational, limited mindset perspective. And what is the answer to an abundant life? What is the answer to creating beautiful, abundant lives for ourselves? It is to understand the balance in giving and receiving as an abundant flow in which both parties contribute with the best that they have. You feel that they have invested the best of their being in that relationship. So when you engage in a relationship, if you come from an abundant perspective, if you come from a perspective of love and connection, personal growth and contribution, you will give your best and you will not be calculating how much you will receive. You know why? Because you trust that the more you give your best to the world, you will receive that 10 times more, 100 times more, 1,000 times more than you have given. Life will give back to you, not the specific person, not the specific group. Just trust that life will nurture you with 10 times more everything than you need, because life is indeed abundant. We need to believe it, we need to trust it, and then we would need to allow it. It's about receiving. So takers, givers, and calculators, right? They are living in scarcity mode. They don't trust the abundance of life. They don't live in abundant, beautiful path because they do not believe they can receive this abundance. It's about the receiving aspect. So Abraham Hicks, they talk about this too, right? It's awesome. It's so beautiful. They say that when you ask, it is immediately given. Why does it not manifest immediately? It doesn't manifest immediately because we do not believe we can receive immediately. There's some crazy belief system in our minds that says we need to suffer to deserve it. It's a crazy cultural story that we tell ourselves every day in the deep unconscious mind that we inherit from ancestors and from our cultures. So to start bashing that belief, we need to allow ourselves to receive from life and from the world. Don't expect a specific person to be the nurturer of your abundance in your life. Trust yourself. Give your best and know in your heart that you will receive abundance. So that is a mindset and an attitude of contribution to the world. And the more you contribute to the world, the more you will receive from unexpected sources. You won't have to make a lot of effort. Abundance is about effortless receiving. It's about effortless connection with the infinite source, with the infinite abundant source of life. And all we need to do is trust that, not expect other people to give us anything. You create your reality, you create for yourself, and you give your best to others. You do the best in your life, the best in your inner world, the best that you can to give to other people in a beautiful, powerful way. And trust that life will answer accordingly. So regarding the 6 human needs, the need for certainty is very connected to your mindset of expecting the best, and the best will come. The need for variety is about expecting the best, and abundant variety will come. The need for significance is about expecting the best and being your best self, and knowing that people will answer accordingly. They will feel your higher vibrational frequencies. They will want to be with you. It's going to be natural and organic. You don't have to make an effort to be significant. Just be yourself. Just be who you are. Just shine your inner light. And that's it. When it comes to love and connection, just be love. Just be wonderful to other people. Just be a good person. Just be receptive. Just be compassionate. And you will have high quality relationships. When it comes to growth, abundance is there too. The more you clear your inner world of scarcity, of impurities, of insecurities, of fear, the more you will grow, and it will be effortless. The opportunities are going to come your way, and you will intuitively know what is the flow you need to follow, what's the connection you need to make. And when it comes to contribution, do something good in the world every day. Give your energy. Give what overflows from you. We all have so much to give, right? And there's so many people in need because they're trapped in scarcity mode. And we can wake them up. Not enable their victim mentality if it's there. Not enable the martyr mentality if it's there. But wake them up to life connection. Because you can do that. If you're listening to this, you know that you can do that, and you will be called to do that too. Life is going to nudge you. It's going to tap you on the shoulder for you to wake up someone's sleeping mind, someone who has mind prisons in scarcity. It's going to be kind of your job, really, to wake them up and to give them a little nudge. Okay? So this is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope it was clear. I hope it brings you benefits, that it brings you joy, that it brings you expansion, and especially that it inspires you to take action. And I will see you soon.